Well, good evening, internets. It's me, DP Knudten, with another edition of Bookward Bound, my 301-day journey from I should really do this to done. And what is that done? Well, that done is actually the creation of a brand new book by January 1st, 2021. That's the day that I'll be uploading press-ready PDF files to Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing platform so that I can self-publish a brand new book and have it ready for 2021. Start off the new year the right way is what I'm thinking. And what better way than having a new book that's talking about exactly what I'm talking about and writing about tonight, which is nonfiction branding, especially when it comes to personal branding and small business branding. And in fact, the book looks a little something like the image you've already seen at the beginning of this, which is Nonfiction Brand, Discovering, Crafting, and Communicating the completely true, completely you brand you already are. So that's the cover of the book, which I've already designed. You know, right now it's a working cover. It still has a lot of stuff that needs to be plugged in to it, but it's there and it's looking pretty good. In fact, I'm feeling good about the book. And one of the reasons I did the cover so early was that you got to see it to be it. Well, sometimes you need to see it to believe it, that you're actually writing a book. So that's one of the first things I did was design the cover, because then I know it's real. And in my brain, it's real. And when I can see it, it becomes real. But the real part of doing a book and writing a book is actually getting down here and taking a piece out of the monster every single night. And that's what I'm trying to do tonight. And some nights I write, some nights I edit, some nights I do some design work or formatting of the book. Some nights it's just pure cleanup. Well, tonight I think I'm going to look at one of the sections that I've written previously so long ago I don't even remember writing it. But I'm going to take a look at it and see if it's done, if it's complete, if it needs a little bit of polish, a little bit of proofing work, editing work, and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing tonight. In fact, I'm going to take you right now to Scrivener. What is Scrivener? Well, it is a thing that looks like this. That's the application that I'm using to actually write the book. And Scrivener is available for Mac OS, Windows OS, and I think Linux as well. And it's used by a whole lot of writers for actually writing books, not documents like Microsoft Word, but full-bore books. And you can see right here the main window where you do the writing. Then over here, you can see an entire list section of, it's a section of lists, or chapters, whatever you want to think of them as. And I've got them all color-coded by whether they're done, they get a green one. Blue means I think they're done, but let's edit it. Yellow means I've written a fair amount in there, but it might need some work. And then finally the red sections, which are like completely blank. Oh my God, those are the ones I got to really pay some attention to. However, tonight what I'm going to do is focus on this section called Me or My Biz, What's the Difference? And so what I'm going to do is edit it aloud. One of the things I always do when I edit my stuff is read it aloud, because I like to have a very vocal style in writing. Consequently, it should sound like it's coming from me or the voice of the brand that I'm writing for. Some brands are more buttoned down, so there are no contractions. Other ones are very casual. And in my case, it's really, really casual because it's really, really me. So what better way to find out if there are any bumps in the road than by driving down that road, by using my voice to discover where those bumps are. Cool? So let's go. Me or my biz, what's the difference? Let's say you're totally buying into the idea that you need to discover, craft, and communicate your personal brand and are excited about getting started. If you're like many people, especially those holding down a day job, it's pretty clear who you should be branding. You. But what about those with active or almost active side hustles, and especially those who'd like to make such side projects their number one form of income over time? Who or what should they be branding? This is a question. This question came up several years ago as I was meeting with a friend. After years in the not-for-profit sector and getting what not-for-profits pay, she realized that she needed to build her brand big time. In the course of our meeting, we exchanged business cards, and I noticed that her company name was opaque at best. I asked her about this, and she explained the name. She explained the name and how it meant something to her. But speaking for myself and others who might run into it, it made no sense at all. The second word in the two-word name was functional communications, but the first, it was more of an ultra inside joke about what the company was designed to do for her. That confused me, so I asked her, why are you hiding behind a company logo and name when your company is really just you? Do you have plans to turn it into something bigger? She said no, but she wanted to be perceived as a credible business. I replied with an all too snappy, why hide behind a company name to appear credible when you could earn that perception by simply being credible? And then I realized, that's the end of a... And then I realized I should be asking the very same question of myself. Ever since I've been working for myself, I've done so under the banner of Collaborator Creative. I have never really intended on growing my business as I gravitate toward the lone wolf side of things. But when I started, it just felt like I needed to have a company name almost as a shield to take into battle. It certainly helps in certain situations, like when I'm giving a presentation somewhere. The first line of my introduction is typically something along the lines of, DP is the chief collaborator of his company, Collaborator Creative. Obviously, and I use the logo and name on invoices too. But when I answer my phone, I always answer it saying, hi, you've reached DP Knudten, or hey, name, this is DP. Because my phone shows me who's calling. Because ID shows me who's calling before I pick up, before I answer. You don't pick up phones anymore, right? Before I answer. Who's calling before I answer? And that, how you answer your phone, long dash. That's a really good indicator of who or what you should be branding. How do you know who or what to brand? That's what I just said. Maybe I need to put that elsewhere. The only other place that makes sense is right about here, maybe. How do you know who or what to brand? The answer lies in how you answer your phone. How about, who do you know? How about ask a question, answer a question with a question? How do you know who or what to brand? How do you answer your phone? Simple. How about simple? How do you answer your phone? Yeah. It really is as easy. It really is as easy as that. If you're building a company with the goal of possibly selling it sometime, you really need to brand you really need to brand the business. But if you're like me, loving the lone wolf lifestyle, you better be focusing solely on building a brand that boosts your solo self. This was hammered home to me during a recent recording session with the fantastic Jay Bear. I've written a whole section in this book about how he's a master of visually branding his personal. He's visually branding his personal brand. But I'm equally impressed by his strategic answer to the yourself or your company question. Okay, I got to get a pull quote from that podcast, which I still have to edit. I love the way this guy thinks. Starting a new business after selling his first, he's already thought through one of the most important aspects of it, that he's building it for the long term and ideally to sell it. Consequently, any brand equity accrued over his years working in the business needs to stay with the business. I mean, why would... How about after all? Why would anybody buy a business that fully depended on his participation for the long term? Let's go for. However, he's also interested in building his own personal brand, so that no matter where he works or what he does, that all that personal brand equity walks right out of the building alongside him every single time he leaves the office. Do you see what he's doing there? The dude is literally selling his company brand cake and taking his personal brand slice home with him every single night. So very smart. So very smart. Yes, he's featured it prominently on his business's website, but he's also got a fully fleshed out personal brand online presence at jbear.com. Each site has distinct similarities, and I should give him convert.com, and I better check that. VinceandConvert.com. There we go. Convince him. But he's also got a fully fleshed out personal brand presence online at wjb.com. Each site has, I want to get rid of that link, so I'm going to remove link. But he's on fleshed out at jbear.com. Each site has distinct similarities and differences, as they should, because they represent two distinct entities. And the beauty is, the second he sells his company, his already operating personal branded personal brand, his already operating, his already up and operating personal brand site. Oop. I got up in his already operating personal brand site is up and running. No beat is skipped, no opportunity is lost, and no brand equity is squandered through miscommunication or lack of clarity. But you better be thereafter. with me. If you don't own it, it's not yours. All right, so I need to go. Oops, what the heck? So that'll be BI. I'm going to give that a little heat. If you don't own it, it's not yours. If you don't own it, it's not yours. All right, so I think that's kind of done-ish. I may want to come back here. Well, I certainly need to come back here and get that pull quote from the podcast, which I have yet to do, and I have yet to edit. So, but I'm going to be editing that in a couple of weeks, or maybe I should do it. Why don't we take a why don't we take a look at it right now? Oh, because I could do it. All right, this is going to require a little bit of gyrations. No, actually, I'm going to do this tomorrow night. Yeah, this is opening a can of worms that I don't want to open right now. Let's just say that this right now is 844 words. So if I add a quote from Jay in here, that's probably going to add another 50 to 75 words. That'll take us to say 900. And why am I doing this kind of math in my head? Well, because I figured that, and I've done a little bit of research, like the size of my book, which is going to be 6 inches wide by 9 inches high at 11-point Palatino type, that comes to around 300 words-ish. So consequently, if I get this to 900 words, simple math makes it clear that this is going to be about 3 pages in the book. And that's good. You know, I don't necessarily want to have any 1.5 page sections, but a 3-page section is good. You know, it's enough to read. And one of the cool things about Scrivener is it'll tell me this. Right down here, it says 844 words. If I click on it, look at that. It says reading time, 3 minutes, 22 seconds. It'll take someone, generally, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, maybe adding a few more words that'll take it up closer to 4 minutes. That's not a bad read. You know, that's something someone could read pretty quickly and then get enough of the concepts that are talked about here and start thinking about, maybe I should be worrying about my personal brand first, instead of trying to come up with some cutesy business name that I can then hide behind when I really should be boosting my personal brand. That's the answer that I've come to, which is, wow, I took a lot of time boosting a company that when I introduce myself, I'll say, if someone says, so what's your company name? I'll say Collaborator Creative. I'm the chief collaborator there, but really it's just me. So I'm already undercutting my business by saying that it's really just me. Instead of just saying, hey, my business is dpknudten.com. In fact, that's my website, dpknudten.com. I do speaking, I do coaching, I do brand work for a whole lot of different companies and individuals, all that stuff. So this is my kind of nonsensical way of saying, I think that's all I'm going to do tonight. I've got this in shape. I'm going to keep it a yellow flag over here because I do need to get that quote. that Jay Bear quote from the podcast. But maybe I'll put some time in working on that podcast edit tomorrow and actually transcribe something from that podcast and plug it in. That's one of the cool things about having a podcast. You have a constant content generation machine that you can pull from, refer to, and anytime that you can make someone else look great in your podcast, you get to bask in the reflective glow of the spotlight you shine on them. Some of that light shines back on you in a wonderful, altruistic way. So that's what I'm doing here, and that's what I'm doing for tonight. So that's it for this edition of, it's the 122nd edition of BOOKWARD BOUND, my 301-day journey to getting a book done. And that kind of amazes me, because when I started this and said, okay, you're going to do 301 consecutive live streams, I'm like, yeah, right, sure you are. But the fact is, I am, because I made the commitment to not only myself, but to you. And frankly, the pressure you're putting on me right now is what gets me to come down into this office and work after hours on the book. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Also, check out the Nonfiction Brand podcast, which comes out every single Monday. This Monday's episode features the second half episode with Leah Bach, who is a really cool realtor from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we talk about her personal brand, what she's doing. And she's just a really cool woman and really smart as well. I really enjoyed getting to know her a little bit. And I think you will too. So look for the Nonfiction Brand podcast wherever podcasts are free. Places like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Overcast, or any of your podcast clients. Just search Nonfiction Brand. Look for my face shown in black and white, like the picture I showed you earlier. And that's the episode you should pick up. The episode this week, I think, is episode 98 with Leah Bach. So you might want to start with episode 97, because that's the first half of the conversation with Leah Bach. So episodes 97 and 98 of the Nonfiction Brand podcast. That's it for me tonight. Thank you for keeping me honest and making me come down here and work on this darn thing. And theme music, take us on out. I'll see you next time.